another Sunday in Normandy. Now today we thought we would do something a bit different and take you on a Christmas home tour. Now this is not something we could have even thought about doing last year. So just to give you an idea, while this is our second Christmas here, here's our timeline from last year. So we bought the house the very end of September. And then our shipping container got here kind of mid to late November. And that was pretty much a hit the ground running to get things unpacked and to get our house decorated for the holidays, because we had less than a month before the kids got here for Christmas. So it was very much just using what we normally would have for Christmas. We weren't really thinking about how to decorate this house specifically. We weren't adding anything new. So this year is a bit different, because I was thinking about this the other day. Last year we decorated like 3 rooms and we were doing well to get that done. This year I think we've done 6. So we're slowly transitioning and thinking about, how we want to decorate this house specifically. So I think it'll be fun to take you on a home tour, because it's sort of a mix of vintage collectibles that we've been collecting bit by bit over the years, a lot of family traditions, and then some new things that we're starting to think about how we want to decorate this house specifically and tie in with the local history and the region and those sorts of things. So I think we have quite a bit to show you today.
Yeah, I think Erin's done a really good job. I've decorated a little bit, but she's 95% the decorator. I'm the tree putter together.
Yeah, so I thought we would just take you around today and show you our Christmas decorations, and then also I think I'll show you my Christmas gift wrap setup, because we actually do a zero waste approach to Christmas wrapping, which is wonderful, and I think when we made that transition, made our Christmas so much more chill.
Best thing we ever did.
Yeah. All right, so we've got another storm coming in soon. It's been really rainy and windy here in Normandy this week. So,
that's understated, yeah.
So we're going to get right on this home tour so that we can squeeze it in before the next storm gets here. All right, let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
Okay, let's start our Christmas home tour in the dining room, because this is certainly the heart of our home. So this year, since I had a bit more time than last year, I decided to have fun with the tablescape. Now, I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on Christmas decorations, so I just dug around in things that we already owned, and really not even necessarily Christmas things, and I came up with this table, which I think looks really good. So I have had this collection of red vintage flatware for years, so I thought that would be really fun to put out on the table for Christmas. And then this is one of my favorite dish sets. It's Old McCoy, and it's actually a pretty rare set because it was in production during the time that they had a fire in their factory, so you really don't come across it very often. But I thought it would be fun to use it and kind of do a red and brown table design. And so these are all just things I've owned for years. So the napkins I've owned forever. And then I dug around in my craft supplies and I found these little candy canes and I tied them around the napkins. So I think that added a tiny little festive touch that makes the table feel Christmassy. And that's just an old antique bread bowl or dough bowl that I filled with Christmas ornaments. And then these candlesticks are actually from our wedding. So it's fun to have those out every year for Christmas. And I think the other thing to show you on the table, our table runner. That has pretty much been on our dining room table every Christmas for as long as I can remember. So I'm really happy with that, and I don't think we spent any money at all. This is just things that we had on hand and put together. All right, so let me show you around the rest of the room. So our sideboard, I think, is my favorite part of our decorations in the dining room. And this is all basically stuff that we have been collecting over the years, little vintage pieces. So I have a collection of Santa mugs, which are really fun, kind of all different sizes and styles. And then, now the kids don't like this Santa Claus. You can let me know what you think. They find him creepy. But I found this at a church sale years ago. And somebody has hand painted it on wood. And I just think it's really cool. So, house is split. Now, a few years ago, I had these vintage suitcases and I wanted to come up with some way to use them in my Christmas decorations. And so I came up with this kind of my take on a Christmas village. So I had one little house. So I sort of set it up like it was a house on top of a suitcase mountain. And then I have all of these different colored bottle brush trees. So some of these are vintage, some of these are reproduction. But I just really, really like this piece. I think it may be one of my favorite Christmas decorations. And then I have this little tea set that I have had since I was a kid. And the kids and I have built this collection of Santa ornaments, the little felted Santas, over the years. And we've got them all on this one little silver tinsel tree. So it's amazing how many different styles of these Santas were made over the years. And I think most of these would have been like 50s and 60s. So we got quite a few of them. And then this over here is our Christmas card holder. So it's a vintage piece as well. And it's a bit sentimental for me because it actually came from my friend's thrift store back when she used to have it. So every year when we pull it out, it reminds me of her. Okay, and then this garland that we have on the fireplace was a bit serendipitous because we had this in our old home in Tennessee. And when we came here, there were already nails over the fire in exactly the right spot to hang it, because I think it would have hurt my feelings to put holes in the stone. So, and it feels extra appropriate in this house since it's Noel. And then at one point, a few years back, I added this vintage little mistletoe, which I think is a fun addition to that. And then we didn't have a Christmas tree in the dining room last year, but we decided to add one this year. So for many years now, we have had this aluminum Christmas tree, which we have always put in a galvanized wash tub. So it's not a very tall tree on its own. The wash tub gives it a bit of height, and I have always loved galvanized things. I have quite a few galvanized pieces in my collection. And I didn't want anything super chaotic. I didn't want to add a lot of clutter to the room. So we just stuck with all silver ornaments on a silver tree. So we've kind of got a bit of a monochrome thing going on. Now, I have never decorated this tree with silver ornaments before, but I really, really like it. So mostly this was just, simple silver balls that we already had in our collection. And the only new addition this year is that I picked up a bag of these silver pine cones at a thrift store here for $1.50 or €1.50. So very happy with that. And then last bit of decorations in the dining room. So on this cabinet next to the door, we have our Advent calendar, which I love because it's enameled tin, which is fun. And then it has a little wreath magnet that you move along as the days go by. And then I have my little trumpeter that I found at a church sale many, many years ago. I just love, he's got this nice little primitive design. And then this is kind of a special piece for us too. So this sleigh is actually a piece that I used to use in my displays when we did craft shows. But the special part is actually all of the vintage elves inside of it. So if you remember when Elf on the Shelf first hit the scene, it was a huge deal. Every kid had to have an Elf on the Shelf. My youngest daughter really, really loved the tradition And so since we've always been people to shop secondhand, she started spotting these vintage elves at flea markets and various places. And so because she was very invested in the elf on the shelf tradition, she would buy them kind of as a bit of a rescue mission, and she would write Santa a note and leave it with the elf and asking him to please give the elf his magic back, because if you are familiar with elf on the shelf, you're not supposed to touch them or they lose their magic. So she was on this rescue mission, and she would buy the elves and we would fix them up because sometimes they had little cosmetic problems with them, and then she would write her note to get their magic back. And so our elf collection is a bit bigger than most, but yeah, I can't see those without thinking about how sweet that was. So I think that is our dining room, which I think is looking very festive this year. Okay, now let me show you the downstairs living room. So if you've been watching our videos, you will know that it was not long ago at all that this room was largely unfurnished and not really getting much use. So it has come a long way in the last few months. Okay, so this right here may be the top spot for my favorite Christmas decoration. And it's not really even an official Christmas decoration. So, I don't know how many years back, we were on the way back from picking up the kids at school, and we spotted these in a curb pile. Now, in our old town, there was like a day every month that you put out all of your large trash items at the curb for collection. So they didn't go in bags, and it was just there sitting on the curb, and anybody could kind of come by and pick whatever they wanted out of it, which we definitely did. So spotted these, and I was really, really excited about it. And so we have ever since kept these vending machines full of Christmas ornaments, and I put them out every year. They've been on our mantle and different places in our old house, and now I have them on this shelf in the downstairs living room. So just really fun vintage piece. Okay, so just next to those, in a little niche on the wall, I hung our Christmas stockings this year. Now these I made 2 years ago maybe. So I made them out of an old cutter quilt. So this was a quilt that was in such bad shape that it was no longer usable as a blanket. It really wasn't repairable because the fabric was very, very gone. So I was able to kind of carefully plan out where to cut to have the best pieces. And I made a matching set of stockings for the family. So I really love the look of these. So they've got the quilted part on the front, and then the back I used some vintage red and white striped fabric that I had in my collection. So this was a no cost project, just using stuff that I had on hand, but really, really like them. And I actually have 3 more matching ones. So as our family grows over the years, we can expand our collection for a while before I will need to make some more. And this Santa chair that is sitting next to it is another special family piece. Now, when the kids were really, really little, we found this at a Habitat for Humanity store for $1. So this Santa chair has pretty much been a part of their Christmas since very, very early days. So that will always be in our house. Okay, so we swing around to the rest of the room, show you our other special family decorations. Okay, so this red vintage phone is really fun, and I still need to make a label for the center that says Santa, because we call this our Santa phone. So it's the direct line for parents to be able to call Santa and get the report on how the kids are behaving. But that's just over the top with the fancy gold receiver. It's really a fun piece. And then we've got a little snow globe with a picture of the kids when they were little. And then I've got this fun Santa statue that I think I picked it up at a church sale. So I've had that for quite a while as well. And then this year, so this is our collection of family ornaments. This is really our main tree. So this is all stuff that the kids made when they were little. So all those kind of little things they made at school and Girl Scouts and stuff that they gave us for Christmas over the years. So we still have all of them, and we put them out on the tree every year. Now normally it's men on the tree that you just saw in the living or in the dining room. But this year I didn't want to have too many decorations in this room. So I downsized it to a slightly smaller tree. And I really like that because it's still plenty of room for us to put our Christmas presents around the tree without taking over the room. So very happy with that. And so we still need to get busy wrapping. And as I just mentioned, that will be the official present tree. So Christmas morning we'll be down here opening gifts. Okay, so that is the downstairs living room, looking all Christmassy. Now let me take you up to the upstairs living room, which really is more like our family room. Okay, so you may have seen our stone spiral staircase before, but I will show you something that I have not shown you before, and that is this little niche here, which back when the house was built served as the doorway to our bedroom. Now, there's been a lot of renovations over the years, and there's differences in height and things, so I'm not sure that it'll be possible to restore that doorway. We'll see. But I did want to show you this little niche because I think it's really fun. So that knoll post was a gift from my husband one year on our anniversary, and it came from we had some friends that owned a antique store at that point, so it's kind of a sentimental thing. And then earlier this year I found this electric candelabra, and he wired it in for me. So I really love the ambiance that it adds to the staircase. Okay, so let's head the rest of the way up. Okay, so this is our second floor living room, and it really acts as our family room. This is where we come in the evening to watch TV. And I have kept the decorations kind of simple in here. So this year I added a garland to the mantle, and this is just stuff that I took cuttings, my husband and I took cuttings from around the yard. So I think it suits the colors in this room. It's just kind of simple, calm. And then this tree in the corner is a rose gold tree that I bought at a thrift store in Knoxville years ago. So we bought new lights for it last year so that we would have lights that worked in France. And I just like the fact that it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it adds just enough festive to the room. And let's see, the only other decoration in here is our nutcracker. So we have had this nutcracker since the kids were really little. So before my husband quit his job to come work with me many years ago, his employer did a 12 days of Christmas thing, which was really fun. And so every day for 12 days they got gifts, and this was one of the gifts one year. So he used to have a little glued on wooden mustache, and one year one of the sides fell off and it got lost. So we made him a new side. And this year the other side went missing. So he once again got a new and improved mustache. So kind of fun. Okay, now let me take you over to the gîte and show you how we've decorated it for Christmas. Now this time last year, we didn't even have access to the gîte yet. So when we bought the house, we allowed the previous homeowners to stay over there for a few months while they were transitioning to their new home. And so we didn't actually gain access to this space until I think it was something like February or March. And at that time, I did a home tour to show you the space when it was empty before we had even started furnishing it. So in case you're not familiar with what a gîte is, or you didn't see our gîte tour, basically a gîte is like a self-contained apartment on your property. It might be attached to your house. It might be in a separate building, like an outbuilding on the property. But it's its own self-contained apartment. And ours has dining room, kitchen, a living room, a bathroom, a bedroom. So it has everything it needs on its own. Now ours is attached to our house, and we have the option of closing it off if we want it to be a separate private space, or opening a door that allows the whole house to flow, so we can walk straight into the gîte or into the house. And that's how we have left ours, because while the previous homeowners rented out the spaces like a vacation rental, we just plan to keep the space for use by our friends and family, because when we bought this house, we purposely bought a house that was going to be big enough to have like our extended family all come at the same time, and there'd be plenty of room for everybody to stay and be comfortable. So it's actually really nice that we have basically 2 dining rooms because of this. So if you've been around for a while, you may recognize this as the dining room table that was in our house in Tennessee. So it's a big 10-foot table. We have extra chairs for it out in the cellar. So it seats like 12 people. And so does the dining room table that I showed you earlier. So we have the ability to like seat 24 people for a meal, which is fantastic, because really when we bought this house, we were thinking about in the future when our kids had their own families, being able to have that quality family time where everybody was here at once. So I could see this being like one table for the kids and one for adults, or however it ends up working out. So anyway, this year I thought I would see what I could come up with as a tablescape. And again, basically using things that we already had on hand. I wasn't trying to spend a bunch of money. So I have a set of catering dishes that we use for big parties. And the previous homeowner left me a set of gold chargers. So I paired those together. And that worked really well because in college, my parents gave me a set of gold-plated flatware. And that's what we've always used as our kind of our Christmas set, or for Thanksgiving as well. So that, just with some placemats and cloth napkins that I've had forever. And I think the only thing on the table that's new this year actually are these little shell dishes, which I really like. And I found those here at a thrift store. So just a fun little addition to the table that's sort of a nod to the coastal location. Okay, so just looking down the tablescape, I have had those sort of mercury glass style Christmas trees forever. So I've got those on the table this year. And I've got this fun copper pot. I love copper things. That I've just filled with kind of an assortment of glass ornaments and painted pine cones that I've had forever. So just kind of fun to dress the table and see how it looks in this room for the first time. Now let's see. This Christmas tree, I cannot honestly remember where we got it. I know that it was a freebie. It was something that was given to us. I don't remember where exactly it came from. But my husband added a set of string lights to it this year, some that we had bought last Christmas. And then I'm really excited because I have this old piece of pottery that looks like a pine cone. It's just like a little flower pot or cash pot. And it was the perfect size for the bottom of the tree. So really happy to have that put to use again. And then I just added this garland. I made this garland out of like clearance ornaments forever ago. And it just happened to be the same length as the buffet in this room. So I've got that on there. And then again, these 2 wreaths. I've had them for absolutely forever. They're Pottery Barn wreaths, but I actually bought them at a yard sale. And they have glass beads, really, really pretty. It's really nicely made. But I never really had a spot for them because being made out of glass beads, they're quite heavy. I had tried to hang them on windows with suction cups and that never really worked very well. So the other day, my husband hung them on the back of the Jeep door. So it's fun to finally have them put to use. And let's see, in this room, just a few other little details. This is that table that you saw Mr. Huff make a few weeks back using our old record player. And I just added a little kind of a coppery tone Christmas tree to that tablescape. And then a fun addition this year. So I was researching this today. You may have seen last year, there was a Hallmark Christmas movie that was set in France. And it was set at like a B&B. And the storyline was that there was this little elf, stuffed elf on a table. And you were supposed to leave it little gifts. And if you didn't, then it would pull like little pranks on you. And in the movie, they said it was like a Christmas French tradition. I was looking into that today. It doesn't, to me, look like that's a French tradition. If it is, let me know, because it looked to me like the gnomes were more of a Scandinavian thing, and I wasn't really finding any story that quite matched with that. But anyway, having seen that, when I spotted this little gnome on clearance at the end of last season, I grabbed it because after years and years of Elf on the Shelf, I'm feeling like I want to be on the receiving end this time. So I have already warned my kids that the gnome will be expecting gifts this year. So we'll see what he gets. Okay, so that is the downstairs of the Jeet, all decked out for Christmas. And let me take you upstairs and show you the living room. Okay, so the Jeet living room is on the second floor. There are actually 3 floors in the Jeet. Now this room is largely unfurnished at this point. We're taking our time furnishing the house, trying to get things on the cheap. So we really have just stand-in pieces for now, but there's no reason not to decorate for Christmas. So we went full tilt on the Christmas decorations still. And I was determined to have a beach-themed tree because we're just 4 miles from the coast. So I felt like that really reflected the area. Now, I did not want to spend a bunch of money on a Christmas tree. I really wanted a flocked tree. But the cheapest one I saw was like 60 euros. And honestly, that's not terrible, but I just didn't want to spend the money on that. So I wasn't sure I was going to do one. And then we walked into our favorite thrift store. And there was a flocked tree sitting there for 12 euros. So that worked out really well. And as far as ornaments go, you may have seen when I was working on these. So I bought these clear glass ornaments with macrame on them at a discount store. And then I painted the insides of them with a bit of acrylic paint to give them the look of like old vintage nautical floats. So I've got those all over the tree. And I think they look pretty convincing. Like I'm happy with the way those turned out. And then you may have seen when Mr. Huff and I went to the beach on a beachcombing mission, and I collected a bunch of these shells, and he drilled holes in them so that we could hang those on the tree. And then honestly, the only other decorations I think we put on it, I picked up a couple set of these green balls at the thrift store, and I think I paid, I think it was €2 a set. So we've got $4 in those, and then I paid, it's like $1.59 a piece, or €1.59 a piece for these. And obviously the shells were free. So I think this tree really came out nicely, and we managed to do it without breaking the budget. And the tree skirt, I think that somebody gave that one to me years ago. I can't remember exactly, but I've had it for a long time, and it just felt like the right piece for this tree. Now, initially we put some lights on the tree, and it kind of changed the flocking color, kind of yellowy. So I've actually decided it looks a lot better without. And then I happened to come across this starfish in a cabinet the other day. That was the previous homeowners left it. So I thought that was a good tree topper this year. And I have some ideas for things that I want to add to the tree next year. Making things out of like driftwood and sea glass. We didn't quite get to that this year, but that'll be fun to have a project to work on for next year. And then just to kind of finish out the room, I didn't really have other Christmas decorations to put to use. Well, I had this old set of stockings that we're no longer using after I made the quilted ones. So they seem to suit the colors over here. And then just a couple bits and bobs left over in my Christmas stash. And I have a staging shelf in the cellar. I've always done this, where I put decorative items that I'm not currently using. And I just went out there and pulled together some things that were kind of in the blues and whites. So not even Christmas items, but they add a bit of color and kind of tie in with the tree. And let's see, the only other Christmas decoration in this room is this little kind of primitive tree that I have on the coffee table. Now, when I was in college, I didn't have a Christmas tree, and I found this little tree on clearance at Pier 1, and for some reason it was a Thanksgiving tree, and don't ask me what the Thanksgiving tree is. And I just sprayed it in like a metallic-y bronze, and then I made these little ornaments just out of like seed beads, a bit of ribbon, and some pins. So I just kind of created a bunch of different little ornaments for the tree, and it's just like little scraps of cotton fabric. So just a little simple tree. But I think for our first go at this room, I think it is looking very festive, and I'm happy with it. Okay, now let me take you up to the third floor of the sheet and show you the little Christmas decoration that I couldn't resist adding up there. Okay, so you may have seen we've been working here in the last few months to try to furnish this Jeep bedroom. So the bed and the nightstands and all these pieces have not been up here long at all. And then we've got this little sitting area that we have started to furnish over here. And I could not resist adding a tiny little Christmas tree. So this tree, I have had these little tiny vintage glass ornaments forever. I actually picked up 2 boxes of them at my friend's thrift store back in the day. So again, this is another one of those things, when I pull them out, I can't help but remember her and her store. And so I just couldn't resist bringing them up here and doing a little tiny colorful tree for this area. Okay, so that is all of our Christmas decorations, but as I mentioned at the beginning, I want to take a minute and show you our zero waste approach to Christmas gifts, because it has just made Christmas so much calmer, just generally been a really great thing for our family. So let me take you down and show you my gift wrap area, because this has been an absolute game changer for our family. So several years ago, my husband and I decided that we were going to switch from using gift bags and wrapping paper to using reusable drawstring bags. So we sat down and we looked at what typical sizes were available for gift bags, and we came up with a list of about 5 or 6 sizes that we thought would cover just about anything we would wrap. And so I had inherited quite a bit of fabric, Christmas fabric, from my husband's aunt. We got all of that out, and he cut out a bunch of drawstring bags for me. And then I had a bit of a sewing marathon, and I made all of these bags that you see here. So the idea is that we only use these bags for our immediate family. We don't use these for gifts that we're sending to other people, because we want to be able to use them again and again. And so it has become such a simple thing to wrap gifts now. We just find a bag that looks like it's the right size, stick the gift inside of it, pull the drawstring to close it, and we're done. So there's no wrapping paper, there's no scissors, tape, none of that stuff to worry about anymore. And then to make it truly zero waste, we took a bunch of old Christmas cards and we cut them up and created gift tags. So we literally just cut up the cards, punched a hole in them, and added a little twine loop. So we can loop this over the drawstring as we're closing the bag, and we're done. Now, to make this truly zero waste, because obviously I'm giving gifts to Aaron every year, he's giving gifts to me, and so forth. Each member of the family has their own bag of tags that we're able to reuse from year to year. Because we're giving gifts to the same people, we can use the tags more than once. So at the beginning of the Christmas season, I just give everybody their bag. And then very rarely do we need to even make a new tag for our bags. So if this looks like something that would work well in your family, I will include a link in the description below the video to my tutorial, which includes all of the sizes and instructions for making these bags. So this is something you could do marathon style like I did and make them all at once and transition your family. Or it's something you could simply make a few a year until you got to the point where you felt like you had enough to completely swap out for all your disposable stuff you're using now. So that is the end of our Christmas home tour. I hope you have enjoyed it today, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas.